Hey Pisces, Madeline here to give you your astrological report for the month of May 2025. Let's go ahead and share the notes and take a look and see what is going on for Pisces. You've had Saturn in your first house for 2.5, maybe 3 years, and that would have put you through quite a bit of stress and stressor, pressure to become more mature, to take on more responsibilities, to become more fit, stronger bodied even. But Saturn has been there giving you perhaps some hard times as well as and sort of waking you up to having to sort of take on more perhaps education or more structural, shall we say, um, shifts occurring in your life, basically, because Saturn is, this is a 29-year cycle, and then it's going to move into your second house, which is your finances. So in order for Saturn to improve your finances, it had to shift and change you and shape shift you to be a very more mature, responsible, and shall we say more mastery of the self and mastery of your craft. Now, the month starts out with the sun in your third house, with a new moon in your third house in the sign of Taurus, which would have been new connections, perhaps business connections, a new opportunity coming in media, communication, writing. If you're like a lot of Pisces are artists and musicians, I like to use that as an example. You may have met another fellow musician that you will collaborate with. But basically, this is a new beginning that brings auspicious in finances, a new auspicious beginning in finances. And it is also the house of selling and communicating. So perhaps you are motivated to sell and expose some of your work during the sun being in your third house, but also the Mercury moves from your second into your third house out of Aries, where it would have been in Aries in your second house, working you hard, developing a skill or communicating and interacting with media and selling with Mercury in that second house. Um, and perhaps a lot of communication going on, busy emailing and stuff like that. So it's kind of a busy time for Pisces, May. Then we have Venus in your second house too. In mid-May, Venus is going to be out of shadow, so you're going to see some sort of financial boost and increase and movement and positive flow forward with your finances for May after that shift happens when Venus comes out of shadow. And then we have Mars in your sixth house, which is going to be inspiring you to work and be very, shall we say, busy of service and showing up and being passionate about what you're here to do. And again, another busy energy for Pisces. And then with Jupiter in your fourth house, you will be trying, there's going to be a lot of shifting going on in moving and in your real estate, property, home, family. The foundation of your life will have been expansion or trying to find that right. A lot of Pisces I know are moving or shifting in their home situation. So there's going to be some sort of a expansion. You could be developing your property, real estate, adding to it, but it is in the sign of Gemini. So it's more about at home learning some things or perhaps studying or researching ways to improve your property, real estate, or just at home learning, studying. But then it's going to move into your fifth house in June, and that's going to bring a lot of good fun, interaction with people, creative projects. It can activate some good wealth, money opportunities can come in there with the Cancer, Jupiter in exaltation in June, but we'll talk more about that next month. And then you're going to have, here's that big shift of Saturn moving into your second house where you start to now bring some of this maturation that occurred with Saturn in your first into your second house. You become more, shall we say, qualified for some sort of increase in finances. Now, Saturn's going to be there for 2.5 years. It can block income, Saturn, but mostly it is causing you to have to work very hard. And in Aries, it's a little bit of a frustration energy. You want to go quicker, but Saturn won't let you. Saturn will win that debate, as it were, and will make you sort of be disciplined and focused and working hard to create a structure, a new structural or a new way of making your income that's going to last a good 29 to 30 years. So there's really some hard work laying down some foundations for a new solid income that feeds you for a while. Then I'm not going to talk about the outer planets except for Pluto because I'll talk about those next month when because they're going to shift in July into other signs. But Pluto's going to go retrograde this month in a couple of days, tomorrow actually. And and that's going to be in your 12th house. So there's going to be some sort of flare up or so when Pluto in November went into Aquarius, left your 11th house, went into your 12th. And then from then until now, we're going to go back over that geographics in your birth chart, and we're going to go back over some of that ground and re-communicate, reinvestigate, revisit some sort of transformative growth that's occurring because in your 12th house, it's going to be sort of all around karmic transformation growth. So there's something that has to sort of be re-looked at and integrated. Any kind of progress that was made for you feeling more in your power, you're going to, and perhaps you weren't fully in your power around a situation that could have occurred from November until now. Now Pluto's going to go retrograde. You're going to go deep in your soul. You're going to retrieve your ability to sort of heal or to transform this experience and become victorious. And then Pluto goes direct in October and it's going to go back over this ground again. So you're going to go back over this ground again and do it better with more, with a transformative, more empowered version of yourself. Again, it's better if you have a personal reading because we can look at exactly how these planets are impacting your chart. This is just a rough outline for what May looks like. And again, a personal reading is going to give you way more detail. And then we're going to look at your North Node there for the first house. The North Node in your first house completely changes your life. When I had the North Node in my first house, I didn't know it, but I moved. Most people move when they have the North Node in their first house to a place where they live for a very long time. Like it's a big shift, the North Node in your first house. You're stepping more into your true calling and your with the North Node in your first house, you're having a sort of spiritual upgrade as well. You're evolving on some sort of spiritual level, less materially stressed and more evolved in a spiritual sense, in the sense that you have more of a connection with the cosmic order and trust and faith in the universal support in your life. But also, you may step into a more spiritual, soul fulfilling pursuit with that, with all that happening in your second house. I'm sure these new income, this new starts in your financial houses is connected to you stepping into your true calling because that's usually the most abundant path. And then the full moon in your ninth is kind of a nice lucky house, a lucky house to have a full moon, and that could bring up challenges because it's in Scorpio. So again, that's a transformative energy, a death and rebirth, transformative, and it's in your ninth house. So we're having some sort of spiritual awakening or some sort of mind awakening. Expansive knowledge comes in. You want to learn more about the occult, the hidden. The occult just means the hidden powers that are really actually really causing the shifts and changes and effects in our lives. And so maybe perhaps you want to learn more about something in the spiritual realm, or you could decide to travel, or you decide you don't want to learn from a certain teacher anymore, or you don't want to learn a certain subject. You've opened your mind. Say you've been religious, you may change. You see something about religions that you don't like, so now you shift and become more into astrology or something different. But you find a new spiritual pursuit, a new interest in discovering something higher and spiritual. And with it being in Scorpio, it transforms you. And you have sort of an epiphany. It may come as an existential crisis because usually Scorpio full moons bring a little bit of a crisis and drama and triggers, but something could occur that creates a crisis that really shatters an old belief, and then you are free, you're liberated from that old belief, and then you see a much more optimistic, much more you transform into more faith and more trust in the universe or God or somebody in the or forces in the universe supporting you because it can turn into a very lucky outcome being in your ninth house. And then we have that new moon in your fourth house in the sign of Gemini. Now, again, some sort of new beginning in a living situation. Now, Gemini is a short distance busyness, so there could be a sale or purchase involving a property or a new rent agreement. You decide to rent a new space, or something shifts in your living situation. You move in with a relationship if you have that going on in your chart, other areas of your chart. But something is beginning, or you decide to take on a project on your property and build something like a shed in the back that you're then going to work on and it can expand your business from home. Jupiter, I mean Gemini over the fourth can often be running businesses, media projects from home, communication, writing. Perhaps you start a new writing project and you're at home, and other things in your chart would reveal a media project that you are going to initiate and work on at home mostly, or just simply redecorating your home, new projects in your home. So I hope that was helpful for you, Pisces, and do feel free to contact me if you'd like a reading, and have a wonderful rest of the day and month. Namaste.